Hi everyone, welcome back to Simplify. Today we have one of the most important topics to discuss. This is a topic that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it really deserves much more attention. And that has to do with being a producer and not a consumer. We're taught from a very young age that consuming information is an integral part of our growth and development. This is very true, especially in our formative years as we grow older. But once you become more established and you become a member of society in an active way, there's a shift that needs to take place. And this shift has to do with becoming a producer of information, a producer of knowledge, rather than a passive consumer. Today, I'm going to offer my 3 top tips for being a producer. It's a challenging transition to make from consumer to producer if all you've ever known is being a consumer. In fact, this question may not even come up in your mind. This is not a topic that comes naturally to most people. I would say that the majority of people in your life, the statistics are likely 95% to 5%, 95% being on the consumer side and 5% being on the producer side. Once you become a producer, it's hard to shift back to a consumer mentality. I think it goes without saying that a mindset shift here is necessary. How you understand your role in the world can make a profound difference. The first tip I'll share with you is to become a creator of knowledge. Instead of learning how to do something by listening to others only, both listen to others and create a strategy of your own. That strategy then can be shared with others. So you're producing more information and contributing to a pool of knowledge that actually makes our community stronger in any particular area. Let's say that you are exceptionally gifted at watercolor painting. You've watched a ton of videos. You've consumed information about how to learn these skills. You've acquired techniques, and then you've also adapted some of those techniques based upon your personal style. Here's where the big shift takes place. Jump online or in whatever forum you find is most easily utilized and create some value around how you have learned your specific skill. I think a lot of us assume that our take on information, our understanding of information is not as complete or as useful to others, and that's why we seek out knowledge and information from others. But combining their knowledge with your unique take on a particular skill can actually enrich the community and provide into that community a great deal of knowledge. So back to the original point here. Always think in every situation about how you can create knowledge and how you can share that knowledge with others. It's of course part of an iterative process whereby you learn, you consume, but you also add to that body of knowledge by sharing your thoughts, your experiences, and your skills, or your unique understanding of how to do a particular thing. Now, my second tip is one that's really pervasive today in society, and that is this idea of passive consumption. The rule here is to greatly limit the amount of passive consumption that you're doing every day. Passive consumption is basically when you sit and consume either social media feeds, television, any type of media source that's coming into you, that's occupying your time, your attention, but isn't actually requiring much of you. Limit this to the greatest degree possible. All the time you spend consuming others' information is time that you could be spending creating knowledge and putting that knowledge into the world. This particular activity can become a hook that takes away your time and your attention and your ability to be out contributing in society. I'm particularly sensitive to this topic as I spent a lot of time in my earlier years just reading, learning, and consuming. And I thought that this was the right thing to do. This was the path I should be taking. I need to learn and learn and learn. Well, that is true. You do need to learn information, but you also can learn a great deal from then taking what you learn, putting it into practice, and then creating guidelines around how you've done that. You learn lessons by doing this, and sharing those with others can both help you to identify mistakes that you're making and then grow personally, or it can help others in that society learn more quickly on their own and then produce their own thoughts on how to improve that process. So as a rule of thumb, try to be producing more than you're consuming. This is a balance, of course. You can't go through life just producing information, but make sure that this balance between the two is healthy. I strive to produce more than I consume every week, whether that split be 51% to 49% or even higher on a good week. I want to make sure that I'm spending the majority of my time producing knowledge and sharing that knowledge versus just consuming that knowledge. And the final tip I'll offer today is to prioritize action when it comes to producing. A lot of people get stuck in the cycle of trying to achieve some level of perfection. Perfection is not a realistic goal in any endeavor that you decide to pursue. So realize that action is always better than sitting dormant and not taking action, or passively consuming, as we mentioned in point 2. Always prioritize taking action and then learning from failures if you do in fact fail. This simple switch in mindset will help you become more of a producer in the long term versus simply a consumer. When we get stuck in a cycle of trying to achieve perfection, that actually reinforces the idea of sitting back and waiting and learning and consuming, instead of going out there, taking some ideas that you have learned, applying those ideas, learning from mistakes that you make, and then producing something that can offer value to the community. One way of prioritizing action is to create a consistent routine. Pledge to do something on a consistent basis, whether you want to create by writing, by making videos, by working on a particular skill, or trying to build a particular product that you think the market needs. Just start by creating routine around action. This could be as simple as pledging to write for 10 minutes a day for the next month. That is a substantial amount of writing, and although what you write may not ultimately be usable, it certainly will increase your ability to write more productively in the future, and you're producing content. Whether or not that content is used is really not relevant. It's more about the action and how that changes the way that you act on a day-to-day basis. Subtle, small shifts over long periods of time make the most profound differences in our lives. And although this mindset shift may appear to be a really simple thing to do in practice, it actually is a really challenging thing. I constantly find myself in consumption mode. When this happens, I try to sit back, realize what's going on, and I reframe my thinking. I ask myself, well, it's important that I'm consuming some of this content, but how can I contribute my personal perspective in this space? When I ask this question, it forces me to think through ways in which I can be a creator and not just a consumer. I can be proactive and not passive. If you want to be successful from a financial perspective, but also in many other areas of life, this is a really sound philosophy that you can adopt and start making work for you today. Take a moment to put in the comments below how you perceive being a consumer versus a producer. Take a realistic look at your life. How much time are you spending on your social media just consuming information in a mindless and passive way? Be honest with yourself. We all do it. Just realize that this is time you could be spending on producing and contributing to society in an active way. In whatever way you decide that's most useful for you, take steps now to shift your mindset and become a producer over a consumer. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please just take a moment, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. If you don't like the video, you can say that too. I welcome your thoughts. I really enjoy getting feedback, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's video. Take care.